Okay, so you want to own a Mercedes-AMG G63. You've heard the door close, that bank vault thunk, the sound of a latch engineered in 1979 and never improved because it never needed improving. You want the upright windshield, the side exit exhaust idling like distant artillery, the 3 differential locks you will never once use on the way to brunch. Every valet in America knows exactly what that silhouette means. So do you. That's why you're here. Here's what you haven't heard. The renewal notice that reads $5,420 for 1 year of insurance. The pump that takes premium only, 15 miles per gallon at a time. The line on a buyer's order, printed in the same font as everything else, that says market adjustment, $60,000. The sticker on a new G63 says $195,500. Keep the truck for 5 years, insurance, fuel, service, and the resale check at the end, and it will quietly remove somewhere between $140,000 and $165,000 from your life. And here's the strange part. That's the best result in its entire class. This machine holds value better than any large SUV money can buy. So that's the question. If the G63 is the one luxury machine that famously refuses to depreciate, can it actually be a smart place to put your money? And the answer has almost nothing to do with the truck. Start with what's actually for sale, because a G-Wagon is 3 different purchases wearing the same body. 3 doors you can walk through. Door 1, a brand new G63, ordered through a dealer, if you can find one. Edmunds counted exactly 243 new examples available across the entire United States, not per state, total. Door 2, the lightly used truck, 2 or 3 years old, sold by someone who paid over sticker in the frenzy years and would rather not discuss it, the closest thing this market has to a discount, and the discount is another man's regret. Door 3, the older W4063, the pre-2019 chassis, a different machine and a different video. Notice what's missing from all 3 doors: a deal. Dealers measure inventory in days' supply, how long the current stock would last at the current sales pace. And on the G63 that number stays low enough that the word negotiation has been functionally retired. This one follows door 1. The 2026 AMG G63, base price $195,500 including destination. Base is doing gentle comedy in that sentence. The manufacture program, Mercedes' in-house catalog of bespoke paints and hides, pushes real-world window stickers somewhere between $210,000 and $230,000 before anyone has negotiated anything. That window sticker has a name, by the way. The Monroney, the federally mandated label listing what the manufacturer says the truck is worth. Remember it, because the entire G63 economy is a machine for charging you more than what's printed on it. Proof. Edmunds pegs the current average transaction at $199,578. Read that again. The average buyer is paying above sticker in 2026 for a design that is fundamentally 47 years old. That's not a market, that's a queue with a cover charge. And the people running the queue, the dealer, the finance office, the insurer, the auction house, every one of them gets paid before you do, which we'll get to later, because that's where a huge amount of the real money hides. You don't really buy a G63, you get approved for one. Now, the entry bill, itemized the way nobody itemizes it at the dealership. The truck, $195,500. The federal government steps up next with the gas guzzler tax, a 1978 levy on cars that drink too much, printed right on the Monroney, which on a truck rated like this one lands somewhere between $200 to $600 and $4,500. Then your state takes its slice. Sales tax running somewhere between 6 and 10% depending on where you register it, a line item the size of a decent used Honda. Nobody flinches. At this altitude, flinching is for other people. Then you enter the room where the margin lives, the F&I office, finance and insurance. The small office after the handshake where the dealership makes much of its actual profit. Here's where it gets interesting. The manager offers you a loan. The bank quoted the store one interest rate, the buy rate, and the store is allowed to sell it to you at a higher one, the sell rate, keeping the spread. Nothing on the desk announces this. Lease instead, and the structure changes but the choreography doesn't. The payment is built on a residual value, the bank's official guess at what the truck will be worth when the lease ends, and the interest hides inside a money factor, a tiny decimal that most customers never multiply out into the APR it secretly is. On most cars, the residual is where leases go to die. On a G63, the residual is generous for the same reason everything else here is strange, and the bank knows it before you do. You'll be offered gap insurance, coverage for the difference between what the truck is worth and what you still owe, on a vehicle whose entire sales pitch is that the gap barely exists. And in the frenzy years, one more line appeared on buyers' orders, the ADM, additional dealer markup, politely renamed market adjustment. Motor 1 documented G-Wagon markups as high as $60,000 for position in line. Not $1 of it recoverable at resale, because the used market prices the truck, not your enthusiasm. Rough door. The sticker is the price of the truck. Everything after the sticker is the price of wanting it. Now the silent killer. Except this is the rare garage where the killer works differently, and you need to see the numbers to believe it. Every year, iSeeCars publishes its 5-year depreciation study, tracking hundreds of thousands of used sales. The 2026 edition found the average vehicle loses 41.8% of its value in 5 years. Large SUVs as a class do worse, 52.1% gone. The G-Class? 34%, an average loss of $52,328. Making it the best value-holding large SUV in America, more than 10 full points clear of its own segment. It gets stranger. Jalopnik ran CarGurus market data on the 2021 G63, original sticker $157,700, current value around $137,000. That's 13.2% over 5 years, on a 6-figure German SUV. Ordinary luxury flagships shed that in their first 8 months. And CarGurus lists today's average used G-Class at $151,331, up 4.2% over the past year. A used truck. Appreciating. Why? One phrase the industry avoids saying out loud: supply lockup. A manufacturer deliberately building fewer machines than the market demands, which props up used values, because buyers who can't get a new one bid up the old ones. Mercedes moves only about 8,500 G-Classes into the United States in a typical year. The queue never empties, so the floor never drops. But the floor can move. Copilot's market data shows the average G-Class sitting $52,600 below its April 2022 peak. Read that again. The best value holder in the class gave back $52,000 from its high. The people who bought at that peak, markup on top, took the entire fall personally. There's a specific month when that bill came due, December 2022, and we're opening it before this video ends. Because the real price of this machine is the difference between two numbers, what you pay and what you get back. And you control neither. Depreciation is the tax. Scarcity is the loophole. And the loophole belongs to Mercedes, not to you. Meanwhile, the meter runs. And the meter has employees. Insurance first. Insurance.com puts a 2024 G63 at $5,420 a year for full coverage, and that's the polite quote. A 40-year-old driver, clean record, good credit, younger, faster, or one at-fault incident, and the actuaries stop being polite. Even a 2020 model runs $4,600, because the age of the truck barely matters when every fender is priced like jewelry and every repair routes through the same network that services the ambush costs you'll meet in a minute. Across 5 years, you'll hand insurers somewhere between $23,000 and $27,000. Insurance, the business partner who shows up every year, takes his cut, and never once rides in the truck. Fuel. The EPA rates the G63 at 14 city, 16 highway, 15 combined, premium only, because a hand-built bi-turbo V8 pushing a brick apartment through the air does not sip. Edmunds' cost-to-drive estimate lands at $432 a month, roughly $184 a year, somewhere between $24,000 and $27,000 over 5 years. The aerodynamics of a filing cabinet, billed monthly, then maintenance, where the numbers lie to you in both directions. RepairPal lists the G63's average annual service cost at $975, with Mercedes-Benz ranking 27th of 32 brands for reliability and 13% of repairs classed as severe. That $975 is real, and it is also a trap. It's the average of the boring years. It doesn't know about AMG spec consumables, franchise labor rates, or the year the warranty ends. Budget somewhere between $1,500 and $4,000 a year, depending on whether an independent specialist or a dealer holds your keys, and the boring years become a pleasant surprise instead of a baseline. The part nobody tells you? None of this is the expensive part. On a G63, the running costs are the subscription, the ambush is the paywall. Here's the trap. Under that squared-off hood sits the M177, the hand-built B-Turbo V8, and independent Mercedes specialists like Euro Auto Pro keep a running file on it. Oil consumption that demands top-ups between services, timing chain tensioners that announce themselves with a cold start rattle and the headline act, turbochargers that fail and feed oil into the intake. A turbo replacement bills out somewhere between $6,000 and $12,000. That's not a repair, that's a subpoena with a parts number. The chassis keeps its own ledger. The transfer case, the auxiliary gearbox splitting power between the axles, is a known leaker. The differentials want fresh fluid every 30,000 miles, and you bought 3 of them. Brakes, hauling nearly 3 tons down from Speed Eats pads, somewhere between every 10,000 and 15,000 miles, if you drive it the way the commercial implied. And here's where the service economics turn futile. A G63 out of warranty is a machine only 2 kinds of shops will touch: the franchise dealer, at franchise rates, or the rare independent AMG specialist. Every part flows through Mercedes' network at Mercedes prices, which is why the smartest money in this market spends a few $100s before spending $200,000 on a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, where an independent technician spends hours hunting for the exact list you just heard. Skip it, buy the wrong used G63, and the seller's deferred maintenance becomes your surprise capital project, his procrastination, your invoice. The warranty doesn't expire. It just changes whose problem the truck is. So the fantasy adjusts. Fine, the truck is expensive, make the truck work. You've seen the hustle math. Rent it out, let the machine cover its own note. Does it work? The gross numbers look wonderful, which is how they get you. In Atlanta, Milani Exotic Rentals lists a G-Wagon at $795 a day, with a $1,000 security deposit, a 100-mile daily allowance, and $3 for every mile over. Turo carries G-Class listings across the country at rates that swing by city and season, somewhere between half and double the Atlanta number. 8 booked days a month at Atlanta Money is $6,360 gross. On paper, that's the insurance, the fuel, and most of a finance payment. On paper. Now the deductions line up. Commercial or platform coverage, because your $420 personal policy evaporates the moment money changes hands. The platform's commission, detailing after every renter. And the quiet one, every rental mile is depreciation you're selling at retail. The odometer is the 1 meter you can't reset, and the used market reads it before it reads anything else. Run the arithmetic, the rental ad never runs. If 5 years of ownership cost you somewhere between $140,000 and $165,000 all in, and you cover 60,000 miles in that window, your true cost sits somewhere between $2.30 and $2.75 on 100 for every single mile the truck rolls. The renter's overage rate, the one that felt so punitive at $3 a mile, is barely clearing your own burn rate. You're not printing money. You're reselling your depreciation with a modest handling fee. Renting a G63 is a job, a real one, with customer service hours. The people clearing actual profit at $795 a day are fleet operators running multiple machines on commercial infrastructure, and you'll notice they are not lining up to explain how thin the margin is. What about appreciation, the other escape hatch? It exists. That 4.2% used market rise is real money, but it belongs to specific trucks, low miles, right spec, bought at sticker, sold into scarcity, buy at markup, and the appreciation spends its first 3 years paying off your ADM. Honest verdict, a G63 can subsidize itself on a good month. It does not pay for itself. The machine works for someone, just not for you. Which leaves the only question standing: Who exactly is it working for? Time to answer it. Who actually makes money on the G63? Everyone. In order. Layer 1, Mercedes. That supply lockup is not an accident of production capacity, roughly 8,500 US trucks a year, against a queue that never shortens, keeps transactions above sticker and discounts extinct. The factory sells scarcity. The metal is packaging. Layer 2, the dealer. Because scarcity flows downhill as ADM, up to $60,000 in the frenzy, plus standard margin on every manufacturer option box you ticked. Layer 3, the one the industry prefers to keep boring, the F&I office. The Haig Report, the quarterly scorecard on dealership economics, puts finance and insurance gross profit at $2,505 per vehicle retailed at publicly traded dealer groups in early 2025, a whisker off the all-time record. Per vehicle retailed, PVR, the metric F&I managers are bonused on. And per Automotive News, citing Stone Eagle data, that figure sits roughly 50% above 2019. The spread on your rate, the warranty, the gap policy. The desk is a profit center wearing a paperwork costume. Layer 4, the insurers, collecting $420 a year against actuarial tables they wrote themselves. Layer 5, the rental operators, selling your dream by the day at $795. Layer 6, the auction houses and brokers, clipping fees on every trade. And because this truck famously holds value, it trades again and again, minting commission every time it changes hands. Notice the shape of that. The G63 holding its value doesn't reduce the fees. It multiplies the transactions the fees ride on. The most liquid dream in the SUV market is liquid precisely because everyone skims the flow. The truck isn't the product. The truck is the toll booth. You're the traffic. And if you want to watch every layer of that machine process a human being, look at December 2022, the setup. Through 2021 and early 2022, crypto portfolios mint a new class of buyer, and the G-Wagon becomes the default trophy. They pay sticker, plus markup, plus manufacturer, at the exact top of the market. April 2022, the peak copilot would later measure everything against. Then the money vaporizes. Crypto craters through 2022, and in November the FTX exchange collapses, taking the ecosystem's confidence down with it. And here's the thing about a trophy. It's the first asset you sell and the last one you admit to selling. The trophies hit the market all at once. Money-wise, reporting that December relayed the numbers through Car Dealership Guy, a dealership executive whose dispatches were tracking the carnage in real time. A 2021 G-Wagon with 3,378 miles, a truck still learning its owner's name, sold at auction for $187,000. Nearly $80,000 below what it cost to acquire. A 30% loss in under 12 months. His summary: the exotic market was getting decimated. Here's the comparison that makes it sting. That same stretch, the overall wholesale used market fell 13.7%. Painful. Ordinary. The G-Wagon corner fell at better than twice that rate, because a scarcity market only works while the queue holds. And entrepreneur Marshall Haas counted more than 1,600 G-Wagons listed on AutoTrader at once. The queue had become a crowd. The crowd was all selling. And notice who lost nothing. Mercedes had been paid. The dealer kept the markup. The F&I office kept the spread. The auction house charged its fee on the way down too. The only person in the chain holding the loss was the last believer with the keys. Rough year. Scarcity giveth. Liquidity taketh away. So put a real person in the seat and run his year twice. Call him Marcus. Anesthesiologist, Dallas, $195,500 on a 2026 G63 at sticker. He waited 11 months and skipped the markup, which already makes him smarter than the frenzy. Good year. Insurance, $5,420. Fuel at $432 a month, $5,184. One boring RepairPal average service, $975. Value slides at the study average, $13,294 on paper. Total damage, $24,873. For 12 months of the door thunk. Call it $68 a day for the best seat in traffic. Expensive, defensible. He sleeps fine. Bad year? Same truck, different luck, every number from this same video. This version of Marcus bought in the frenzy. and he paid a $45,000 market adjustment at signing because the wait was 11 months and he is not, it turns out, a patient man. That money left the building on day one. The resale market will never acknowledge it existed. Then the year itself goes to work. Month 9, the market gives back $52,600 of peak value, exactly the retreat co-pilot measured. A turbo lets go a month past warranty, $9,800 mid-band. Insurance and fuel run their standard $10,604. The year's damage, roughly $73,000 in cash and paper, with that $45,000 entry fee still buried under the truck like a foundation poured in currency. Somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000 separates this single year from his own good year. Same driveway, same badge, same thunk. The gap wasn't the truck. The gap was timing, markup, and one part number. That's the picture. So you're back where this started, standing at the driver's door, thumb on the handle, about to hear the only sound in this industry that never depreciates. Listen to the thunk, then listen behind it. A factory metering out scarcity, a finance office working a spread, an insurer running the tables, an auctioneer clearing his throat. The G63 is the rare machine that keeps its value. It just doesn't keep it for you.